Welcome to Ask a Flower Farmer. It is your friend in flowers, Lisa Mason Ziegler, and I'm super happy to be here today. This is our time when you can post your questions about anything to do with growing cut flowers down below in the little bubble with the question mark. If you have questions about anything about the cut flower business, seed starting, harvesting, conditioning, farm dogs even, any questions you have, and cool flower questions. We are burning down a pathway to the cool flower season, right? So be sure you post your questions down in that bubble with the question mark. That way I don't miss your questions if it's hidden amongst all of the comments and names here. So I'm super happy to be here with you today. I don't know if you guys have heard or not, but I have done 2 live free masterclasses on cool flowers. Friends, I have found my, sauce for this time. I totally love teaching, you know that. I really love teaching live, and we had 2 huge crowds, and I'm just really thrilled about that. And the name of the masterclass is When Do You Plant Cool Flowers? And literally, I take you through the steps together to find when your optimal planting window is for cool season hardy annuals, aka cool flowers. We figure out your fall planting date and your very early spring planting date. And even better than that, then based on these worksheets that I provide to you when you register, then we kind of sort through what should you be fall planting and what should you be very early spring planting. We have all the information you need to figure all that out. So there's one last masterclass next week, and you should sign up for it. It's free, and you can just comment spring here or on any post I have here on Instagram, and it will DM you the link to sign up. Now, you could just go to my website. It's at the top of every page. Friends, don't underestimate, first off, the power of cool season hardy annuals. They bloom during the most high demand season of the year. It is easier to sell cut flowers in the spring than it is any other time of the year because the demand is so high. But you grow them differently. It is very different than growing warm to hot crops. There's different practices and techniques. So the whole cool flower concept will just empower you to grow top quality. And the first step to that is planting on time for your farm or garden. And that's what I teach you in this free masterclass. So comment spring and I'll DM you the link, or you can just head over to my website after we're done here and we will check that out. So friends, the farm is wide open right now. We are really busy checking up what can we still start for fall harvests. I've already started my cut flower kale. I did that for my sewing circle on my private club. Was it last week? Maybe the week before last. I have my biennial Sweet Williams started. So now we're looking at all right, what other crops can we grow? And let me just tell you, the annual grasses, pumpkin on a stick, it's time to put the pedal to the metal, but it all depends on when your first frost date is, friends. So having a big flush of great flowers in the fall. Fall is only second to spring in the demand for flowers. You know what happens, friends? People party more. There's more events. People are at home. People are loving, especially the whole fall vibe. And you are planting sunflowers every week, right? I do that up until the end of September. So don't forget about, you could just grow sunflowers for fall and do an amazing cash crop, right? So that's what's happening here on my farm. Let's see what y'all are asking about today. All right. You amend soil. Yeah, of course, we don't just amend soil. We call it feeding our soil. And that is just part of our practice every single time we plant a new crop, start a new garden, and we do several different things. One is we add lots of compost and or leaf mold. We grow lots of cover crops. We use organic fertilizers. Organic-based fertilizers don't really directly feed your plants technically. they feed the life in your soil, and your soil is what supports the whole plant, right? I mean, think about what lives in the soil, all those roots. So yes, feeding our soil is just part of our daily, day-to-day life. All right, so hopefully that helps you. I saw that somebody just said they can't hear me. Is that everybody, or is that just somebody? If there somebody, please let me know that you can hear me on here. So somebody just let me know, can you hear me talking? Just say yes, no, would be really, really helpful. I can hear you. Okay. So anybody that think that you can't hear, I would just go out and come back in possibly. Thank you guys so very, very much. Okay, back to the questions. All right. What is pumpkin on a stick? Well, when I describe this, oh wait, they're right here. Lucy, yeah, hand me. So pumpkin on a stick, you can actually find the seed. Nope, not that one. Sorry. That one.
Pumpkin not on a stick.
Yeah, it's not on the stick yet because I plucked them off. Lucy's bringing them to me. Thank you, sweetie. So pumpkin on a stick is actually an eggplant. And you can find the seed for it on my website, thegardenersworkshop.com. And it's 65 days from seed to fruiting. So many of us can still plant them. And they look just like little pumpkins, y'all. So when we grow them for the fall harvest, we leave them on the stem, right? Because there'll be multiples. Well, this early in the season, of course, I grow them to show to people to know what they can grow, right? So we plucked off some of the lower ones so y'all could see it. It is a really long-lasting fruit. Oftentimes you'll see them in grocery stores. And so that's what it is. Pumpkin on a stick is actually an eggplant. And you want to talk about people thrilled to get it. It is pretty amazing crop to have in the fall. All right, Kathy asked, what causes snapdragons to bloom only at the very top of the stem? Is it these crazy hot temperatures we've been having? So Kathy, that's certainly quite possible. That can be a reaction to stress. What's stress? Hot, bugs, or it's pest damage, lack of water, a lot of things. But snapdragons are cool season hardy annuals, so they don't typically perform well in heat. There are definitely snapdragon groups and varieties that will bloom during the long days of summer like we're having right now. But for me in my southern garden, the pest and disease issues are so strong, it's just not worth me growing them. So perhaps that's what your problem is. But yes, you can kind of chalk that up to stress, and stress can be a lot of different things, right? All right. Can I do a very early planting of cool flowers in early spring? So there's 2 windows of opportunity to embrace the cool. So Cool Flowers is the name of the book I wrote 10 years ago about what we now call the cool flower concept. The cool flower concept is how to really set cool season hardy annuals up for the runway that they need to get really well established so they can perform their best when spring comes, right? And so there's 2 optimal planting windows. One is fall and one is very early spring. And in general, everybody, no matter where you live, can plant in very early spring. And friends, everybody can pretty much plant cool flowers. It's just that we all have maybe different planting times based on our first and last frost and our winter low temperatures. And that's what I teach you, how to figure all that out in my free masterclass that you can actually comment spring here and we'll DM you the link to register, or you can find it on my website. And it's that awkward planting time that made us all think, oh shoot, we can't plant that, or it doesn't grow well here. It's just because we literally are not planting at the right time. And sometimes those planting times are so questionable in our mind, we think that can't possibly be right, right? So sign up for the free masterclass. All right, my garden has full sun from AM to PM with no shade. Do you think it's a good idea to get a high tunnel to deflect and reduce the direct heat? For example, my dahlias were scorched because of the high heat in June, no matter how much I water. So first off, I don't have any tunnels, so I can't comment on that. But you do not need to get a high tunnel to grow great flowers. And full sun is exactly what you're talking about. And I don't know where you're located, but I don't grow dahlias anymore either. But let me tell you what we learned about dahlias. We grew them for many years. They're definitely high demand. They're just a little too needy for me. I can grow other things easier and make as much money is what that boils down to, right? But dahlias, if you're in the South, like I am, I'm in Virginia, anybody, Virginia line and down, dahlias can be really sensitive to a lot of pests, heat, and they require a ton of water. You need to check out Petal Pickers. That's my friend Daniel Shavy. He is in South Carolina, and he grows an amazing amount of dahlias. And you know what he's learned through the years? He plants his dahlias later in the season. Instead of having them ready to bloom in June, he doesn't want them blooming in June. It's too hot and there's too many bugs. So you change your actual planting time potentially to actually check that out. So check out Daniel at the Petal Pickers, and I'm sure you can find a lot of good information there. Oh, and you're in zone 8A. That's perfect because that's where Daniel is. So check him out. So I attempted to pre-sprout ranunculus corms and potting soil and let them dry out. Can I rehydrate and then sprout them? I cannot be of any help to you on that because I do not grow ranunculus. I have really no experience with any of that. I am sure that if you entered that into a search engine, you might get an answer, but I don't know if you have any go-to. I mean, if you're one of our students in the bulbs class, of course you could ask that question in the private Facebook group and get an answer from Dave, your instructor. But no, I'm sorry, I literally know nothing about hydrating and pre-sprouting ranunculus. All right, let's see. Good morning. Can I please get some tips for germinating snaps and soil blocks? I am having really poor germination rates. What temperatures for heat mats and domes? How to prevent dampening off? What a great question. So first off, I don't know where you are, but it's typically not the proper time of the year for germinating snaps unless you're germinating in an air-conditioned space like we are. For us to germinate cool season hardy annuals, my conditions are air temperature 65 to 70 degrees. They're on a seedling heat mat with a cookie cooling rack on that heat mat to create a little air space between the bottom of your trays and the heat mat, and that just cools it down just a smidge. Those seeds need warmth. They don't need heat. They don't need it hot, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And they're sown on the surface. I don't use domes or plastic on top of our trays just because it is super easy to encourage disease, as it sounds like you're finding out, dampening off, being the leader of the pack. We lay wide weave burlap on top of our blocks, and that has wide weave. It's got larger holes, yet it holds moisture, but it allows air circulation. And so that's what we do for snaps and celosias. So I would say if you're trying to germinate snaps now, you just need to be sure that you're in an air-conditioned space so that you can get that air temperature. I don't know if you're planning on planting them for fall blooms or something. That's one thing, you know, but it's way too early for most of us, depending on your first fall frost, right? So hopefully that will help. All right, let's see what else we have here. Y'all keep forgetting which buttons. Okay, do I frost cloth my cool flowers soil block transplants or let the snow insulate them? Okay, that's another really great question. So we use lightweight row cover, and it's referred to as lightweight because it's like the lowest weight of all the ones. It's Ag 19 if you're looking for it. You can find it on our website. But it only provides 4 degrees of cold protection. We don't plant anything in the fall that needs cold protection, because I only plant those cool flowers that are winter hardy in my zone. And that's another thing I talk about in the free live masterclass, y'all. And so I use lightweight row cover during the winter, really to just provide an added layer of protection, like from whipping cold wind, which can not only really damage the top parts of the plants, but the wind can rock little transplants, and also to keep varmints from actually grazing on our fields over winter when they're really, really hungry. But whenever I have row covers installed, if there's any frozen precipitation, ice or snow, forecasted or coming, covers come down. Ice and snow provide just as good, if not better, insulation than a row cover could ever think about. All right, let's see where we are here. How do I keep celosia from flopping? Jura salmon has been great, but the other types are not staying upright in the vase. She's in Tennessee. So sugar blooms, I don't know if you're talking about just coxcomb. You know, there's actually 3 different types of celosia. There's plumosa, which is the plumes. There's spicata, which is a different looking kind of plume. And then there's cressida, which is the coxcomb. And all of them are pretty much the same for us. So if you're doing good with Jura salmon, I would say it's probably more about the stage to harvest that you're harvesting them in. I don't know of any, I'm just thinking of any of the celosia varieties that can be weak-headed. There is actually, I think of that, there is a couple of, I don't grow them anymore, so I've actually forgotten the name of the varieties. There were some varieties of coxcomb that actually had soft heads. Their heads would get kind of floppy, you know what I mean? But what I grow, I'll tell you, the varieties I grow are Jura salmon, which that seed is very limited. You know, that's not available commercially anymore. We had somebody grow it last year. We did not grow it again this year. So what we have is what we have. Spring green is another really great one, but I tell you my go-to, which is the majority of what, I'm just looking, Lucy's over here. Hand me just a big old handful of those ones that you've already, oh, that's perfect. Yep, good job. So we typically grow the Chief series, which is a great, it has these great hot colors, and they have super strong heads as well as stems. And there's like 6 or 7 different colors, right? So variety selection is really important, but maybe that's what happened for you. All right, plume and feather varieties are my problem. Oh, so plumes, again, you have to find that happy, and I tell you, experience is what it's all about. I don't know if you have my book, The Cut Flower Handbook. We actually have pictures in there of the proper planting or harvesting stage and then what an old plume looks like. Your job is to figure out when that perfect stage is. And there should never be any dirty flowers left in your cutting garden. If it's old, you should cut it and get rid of it. So, and if you're cutting twice a week, that shouldn't be a problem. The other side of that is cutting them too soon so that the stem's not mature up near the head, so it can't uptake water, which is what keeps them upright, right? So you just need to do a little bit more experimenting, maybe just focus on one type of plume and what stage you're harvesting, what it looked like, and it flopped. And then the next time you cut it a little bit later. Practice makes perfect. Y'all, I've thrown away so many flowers during my life from flops, from conditioning and not harvesting at the right stage. It's all about, you just got to practice. All right. How many extra transplants should I have? This is a really great question. So our general policy or focus is for general seeds, that meaning seeds that are not super expensive, oftentimes we start twice as many seeds as plants that we need to actually fill the space in the garden that we want to fill with that particular flower. So if I'm doing 10-foot spaces on a bed, or if I'm doing 100-foot beds, or if I'm doing 50-foot beds, I typically do 4 rows of branching annuals, and I know how many plants it takes to fill that space that I'm planting on. So if it says I need 80, then I'll probably start 200, because we want to only plant healthy, happy transplants. Planting those little puny, weaklings that everybody wants to save, I'm telling you, you're just wasting your space and your time, because they are never going to keep up and overpass all the nice stuff. And we know for a fact, Jenny Love and I did a podcast last year, I think, talking about seed starting and seedlings. And one thing that she and I greatly agree on to a fault is that the first couple of weeks life of a seedling really lays out how well it's going to perform over its lifetime. It's just when they hit the ground happy and healthy and don't get stressed and have to recover, they just have all their energy to focus on their whole point in life, right? To grow a flower. So we want to only plant those super healthy, happy transplants. And I mean, we've all been there before. For whatever reason, you've had crummy germination and you just have to plant some of those. Keep an eye on those plants. I can almost promise you they're the first ones to go down if disease or stress hits, and the last ones to actually produce anything. So, and if it's an expensive seed like spring green, Jura salmon, maybe just 15 to 20%, like you mentioned, is probably a good number. Let's see. Planted a pink plume celosia variety. However, all of the blooms came out white or very pale. The variety was supposed to be a vibrant pink. Could this be a fertilization issue or a soil issue? No, I'd say it's probably a seed issue. One of the things that I've learned about particularly celosia, there are a lot of very, very inexpensive seeds out there that are old varieties that are okay, but there are so many better choices for cut flower farmers anyway. Like, for instance, Sunday Mix, the Texas Plumes that we actually had grown for us. The seeds cost more, but guess what, friends? You get a reliable harvest, right? That's what you're really counting on, is having that reliable harvest. So variety, you know how for a store they say location, location, location? If you're a cut flower farmer, you need variety, variety, variety. You need to know what the varieties are for cut flowers, which the book, Cut Flower Handbook, tells you that. For cut flowers. And because you've experienced how disappointing and putting you in a pickle when your plants don't pan out to grow what you thought it was going to grow. Not to mention your morale, time, and money that you've wasted on that. So variety, I had to learn the hard way. I used to grow a variety of celosia called Pampas Plume, and we still sell Pampas Plume seed because there's just people that like it. Pampas Plume is an old standard, but let me tell you what the qualities of it that I know that there's better ones now. Pampas Plume is quick to go to seed. That's not what you want as a flower farmer. There is a wide variety in the size of the blooms and the colors, which isn't always the best. And so we typically grow like Sunday Mix or Texas Plumes. And then I have a couple other go-tos like Sylvan and High Z and some of the Selways. Those are all more expensive seeds, but guess what? We get killer crops. So that's the moral to that story, okay? All right, friends, I want to just wrap this up, and I will come back to those 2 questions. I want to just say again to everybody, my last free live masterclass is happening next week. You can sign up at thegardenersworkshop.com, or you can comment spring here, and we will DM you the link to sign up. Friends, it's free. And you're going to get 2 worksheets that are going to just hack your way to getting when do you plant cool flowers at the proper time for your farm. That is the first step to success. And when you do that and incorporate the cool flower concept practices and techniques, y'all, you're going to have a spring that can change your flower farming business, because you're going to have a garden out in the field, y'all. I have no hoop houses, right? You're going to have a field full of blooming flowers with the least amount of intervention from you. That's the whole story. You know, I get so many questions continually, year round, about my cool flowers are short, or, you know, they fall victim to disease. We can almost always count it back to not planting at the right time. Those plants were not well established when they had to start actually producing stems. And they're stressed. And that's just not it. Y'all, I'm sorry. Here's the bottom line. I'm lazy. I'm a lazy farmer. I don't want to have to do a lot of stuff to my plants. I have learned planting at the right time, in the right place, with the right plant means I pretty much plant, give them their flower support netting, and come back when they're blooming. That's what I'm looking for. And that's what the cool flower concept does for you. And it produces flowers for the highest demand season of the year, spring. You got to come to my free masterclass, y'all. You have to nail down the first step, the beginning of the great cool flower concept beginning, because there's nothing you can do after the fact. I get it all the time. What can I do? I planted too late, or I planted too early, or can I plant late? You wait till the next window. That's my answer these days about that. So you can comment spring here to get the link, or you can go to thegardenersworkshop.com. And let me look at that last question. When you refer to 6 to 8 weeks before the first frost, does that include starting the seed? No, and this is why you have to really, y'all, I don't know about y'all, but I listen to things over and over again. And if you listen to me over and over again, I don't say when you start the seeds. I tell you it's your planting window out in the garden. So you have to figure out how long it takes you to start a seed to have a transplant ready to go in the field. But if it's the direct sown cool flowers, you would be planting the seeds out in the field at that time. So these are the planting windows out in the field is what we're talking about. Then there's just so much more, y'all. There's so much more. And we could not possibly put it all in 1 hour of a class, right? So join me for the last, telling you, it's the last free live masterclass. You sign up and you're going to get an email with your link to join me on, I think it's July 30th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. In that email is a PDF. You need to print it. It's only 1 page. It has 3 questions at the top of the PDF. They're super simple questions, and if you don't know the answer, I actually tell you where to go get the answer for your farm. You show up to the master class with that paper filled out, and together we're going to fill out the bottom half. And when I'm done with you, you're going to know exactly when your optimal planting time is for cool season hardy annuals. And then when you show up, we're going to actually send you a second tool right after the class is over with a list of all the cool flowers and their winter hardiness survival date temperatures, so that you can figure out which ones you plant in the fall and which ones you plant in very early spring. Y'all, I'm telling you, it is worth the effort to do this, because this can be the biggest cash crop of the year. Grown in the field, low investment, high return. You know, I'm telling you, it's so simple, most people just miss it. So, friends, join me and the free masterclass. And let's see, this Friday on the live shopping show, which is in my shopping app, we are honoring, I do believe, cool flowers. And, you know, I give away something every week. Most weeks I give away, some weeks I give away a $25 store credit, which may be the case this week. And that means one lucky live viewer gets a $25 credit dropped into their cart When they go to check out, they're $25 ahead. So join me inside my app. If you don't have our phone app for shopping, just go to your phone's app store and search Gardener's Workshop, or you can actually just comment app here and that'll DM you that link. Show up live, enter the giveaway. We show the harvest for the week. It's really a lot of fun, really a lot of fun. And you learn a lot too, I think. That's what people tell us that anyway. All right, friends, I am back at it. So if you're in my private club, see you at 2 o'clock today for the sew-in circle inside our club. And we'll see, I don't know what Bobo has on the deck for me to sew. I'm doing my sunflowers, but I'm sure she has something else. And I'll be showing you the kale that we sewed a couple weeks ago. All right, friends, till we meet again. Ciao.